Admiral Crixtall stood on the command deck of the battleship Eternal Glory and watched the stars through the massive viewing screen. His crystalline body reflected the soft blue light that filled the bridge. For 3,000 years, the Valonian, Galactic Dominion had ruled this part of space. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid belt belonged to them. The lesser species paid their tribute on time and kept their heads down. This was how things should be. The Third Fleet patrolled the outer edges of Dominion space today. 12 massive warships moved through the darkness like silent predators. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet. The energy. Cannons could melt through any known armor. The plasma torpedoes could crack open space stations like eggs. No one had challenged Dominion power in over 500 years. "Admiral," came a voice from the sensor station. "We are detecting something strange." Crixtall turned his head toward the young officer. Lieutenant Varthek looked worried. His green skin had turned pale. The Valonian pressed buttons on his console with shaking fingers. "What kind of strange?" Crixtall asked. His voice was cold and sharp. "Unknown ships, sir. They just appeared out of nowhere. No hyperspace signature, no warp trail. Nothing on our long-range sensors until they were just there." The Admiral moved closer to the sensor station. He looked at the readings on the screen. 12 contacts showed up as small dots. They were much smaller than Dominion warships. The computer tried to identify them but showed only question marks. "Size?" Crixtall demanded. "Each one is about 300 meters long. Very narrow design. The sensor readings keep changing. Sometimes they look like metal, sometimes they look like empty space." This was impossible. No ship could hide from Dominion sensors. The Valoyans had perfected their detection systems over thousands of years. They could spot a single fighter from 10 light years away. Yet these ships had appeared without warning. "Weapons status?" the Admiral asked. "Unknown, sir. We cannot get clear readings. The hull material seems to absorb our sensor beams." Far away from the Dominion fleet, Commander Lee Taemin stood on the bridge of the UES Incheon's Fury. The human warship moved through space like a hunting shark. Its black hull seemed to drink in the starlight. Along its surface, millions of tiny sensors adjusted the ship's appearance to match the background of space. To most enemies, the ship would be invisible. "Status report," Taemin said to his crew. "All." "Systems green, Commander," replied Lieutenant Park Ji-won from the tactical station. "Adaptive camouflage is working perfectly. Quantum drive is ready for emergency jump. Weapons are powered but not activated." "Good. What about the Dominion fleet?" "They have spotted us, sir. 12 battleships moving into attack formation. They are trying to scan us, but our hull is deflecting their sensors." Taemin nodded. After 30 years of watching and waiting, humanity had finally decided to make contact with the Galactic Dominion. The humans had learned about the Valoyans from crashed ships and captured prisoners. They knew about the empire that enslaved entire species. They knew about the tribute system that kept billions in poverty. Most importantly, they knew that the Dominion believed they were the strongest force in the galaxy. "Open a channel to Captain Kim Do-hyun," Taemin ordered. The main screen flickered and showed the bridge of another human ship. Captain Kim Do-hyun sat in his command chair wearing the dark blue uniform of the Human Federation Navy. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations with calm efficiency. "Commander Taemin," Kim said with a slight smile. "Are you ready for this?" "As ready as we can be, Captain. The Dominion has found us. They are moving into attack position." "Expected. Dr. Park So-young has been monitoring their communications. They are demanding our immediate surrender." Taemin looked at the tactical display. The Dominion ships had formed a perfect circle around the human fleet. 200 ships against 12. On paper, it should be no contest. The Dominion vessels were each 5 times larger than the human ships. They carried massive energy weapons and thick armor plating. Any normal enemy would surrender immediately. "Dr. Park," Taemin called to his communications officer. "Open a channel to the Dominion fleet." Dr. Park So-young was humanity's best expert on alien languages. She had spent 15 years studying Valonian culture and speech patterns. Her fingers moved across her console as she established contact with the enemy ships. "Channel open, Commander," she reported. The main screen changed to show Admiral Crixtall. The Valonian looked exactly like the intelligence reports had described. tall and thin with crystalline skin that reflected light. His eyes were completely black with no visible pupils. When he spoke, his voice sounded like breaking glass. "Unknown vessels," Crixtal said. "You have entered Dominion space without permission. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your destruction." Taman stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. "I am Commander Lee Taman of the Human Federation Navy. We come in peace, but we are prepared for war." The Valonian's expression did not change. "Human? We have no record of this species. It does not matter. You will surrender or be destroyed." "We cannot surrender," Taman replied calmly. "We have come to discuss the future of this galaxy. The Dominion's time of unchallenged rule is ending." Crixtal made a sound that might have been laughter. 12 small ships against the might of the Dominion? You are either very brave or very stupid. "Perhaps both," Taman said. "But we are not as helpless as we appear." The transmission ended. Crixtal immediately turned to his weapons officer. "All ships, target the unknown vessels. Prepare to fire on my command." The Dominion battleships powered up their main guns. Energy readings spiked across the sensor displays. Plasma conduits glowed bright yellow as the weapons charged. The space around the Dominion fleet began to shimmer with barely contained power. On the human ships, red alert lights flashed softly. The crews moved to battle stations with practiced efficiency. Years of training and preparation had led to this moment. Humanity had built these ships in secret. They had developed new technologies in hidden facilities. They had studied Dominion tactics through captured data and prisoner interrogations. "All ships report ready," announced Lieutenant Commander Choi Min Seo from her position at the communication station. "Shields to maximum," Taman ordered. "All hands, prepare for combat." The adaptive armor on the human ships began to shift and change. Layers of exotic matter rearranged themselves to provide the best possible protection. Energy fields sparked to life around each vessel. The quantum drives hummed with barely restrained power. Admiral Crixtal raised his hand. Around him, 200 of the most powerful warships in known space waited for his command. The energy weapons were fully charged. The targeting computers had locked onto the human vessels. This would be over in seconds. "Fire!" Crixtal commanded. Beams of pure energy erupted from the Dominion ships. The weapons that had shattered planets and destroyed entire fleets focused their fury on 12 small human vessels. The space between the fleets lit up like a newborn star. Energy readings went off the scale. The very fabric of space-time seemed to bend under the assault. When the light faded, the human ships were still there. Not one had been destroyed. Not one had been damaged. The adaptive shields had absorbed the energy and redirected it harmlessly into space. The exotic matter hulls had not even been scratched. For the first time in 3,000 years, Dominion weapons had failed completely. "Admiral," Crixtal stared at the sensor readings in disbelief. His weapons officer checked and rechecked the displays. The targeting computer ran diagnostics on itself. Everything showed the same impossible result. The humans had taken the full firepower of 200 battleships and suffered no damage at all. "Impossible," Crixtal whispered. Commander Taman opened the communication channel again. His face appeared on screens throughout the Dominion fleet. When he spoke, his voice was calm and confident. "Admiral Crixtal," he said, "we told you we were prepared for war. Perhaps now you will listen to our offer of peace." Admiral Crixtal felt something he had not experienced in centuries. Fear. The impossible had just happened. Dominion weapons had failed. The energy beams that could destroy mountains had been stopped by 12 small ships. His officers stared at their screens in shock. The bridge was silent, except for the hum of machinery. "Sir," whispered the weapons officer. "All hits confirmed. Direct impact on every target. 0 damage reported. Run full diagnostics on all." "Weapon systems," Crixtal ordered. His voice cracked slightly. "Check the targeting computers. Check the energy output. Something must be wrong." Lieutenant Varthek worked frantically at his station. "All systems show normal operation, Admiral. Weapons are functioning perfectly. The energy output was at maximum power." Crixtal looked at the human ships on his screen. They floated in space as if nothing had happened. Their strange black hulls showed no signs of damage. No scorch marks, no hull breaches, no debris. It was as if the most powerful weapons in the galaxy had simply stopped working. "Open a channel to Emperor Zalmorian," Crixtal commanded. "Priority 1, emergency status." On the human ship Soul's Thunder, Captain Kim Do-hyun watched the Dominion fleet with interest. The enemy ships had stopped moving. Their weapons were powering down. Confusion was spreading through their ranks like a disease. "Dr. Park," Kim said to his communications officer. "What are they saying?" Dr. Park So-young listened to the Dominion communications through her headset. "They are reporting to their Emperor, Captain. They cannot understand how we survived. They are requesting new orders." "How long until they receive a response?" "At least 6 hours. The Emperor is on the capital world of Veltharion. That is 8 light years from here." Kim nodded. "That gives us time. Signal Commander Yoon Jae-ho on the Busan Striker. It is time for the demonstration." 3 ships away, Captain Yoon Jae-ho received the message. His ship was smaller than Kim's flagship, but carried the same advanced weapons. The Busan Striker had been designed for one purpose: to show the galaxy that humanity was not helpless. "Target selection?" asked his weapons officer, Ensign Lim Da-hee. "Pick 6 of their largest ships," Yoon replied. "Spread them out across their formation. We want to make sure everyone sees this." The human ship turned slightly. Its hull was covered with what looked like small bumps. To Dominion sensors, they appeared to be sensor arrays or communication equipment. In reality, they were the most advanced weapons humanity had ever created. "Mass drivers online," reported Lieutenant Kim Hyun-soo from the tactical station. "Tungsten, rods loaded and ready. Targeting computers have locked onto 6 Dominion battleships." "Fire," Yoon said quietly. 6 small objects shot out from the Busan Striker. They were simple tungsten rods, each one about 2 meters long and 10 centimeters wide. No explosives, no energy weapons, just dense metal moving very fast. The rods accelerated to 20% of light speed in less than 2 seconds. The Dominion ships had no time to react. The first rod hit the battleship Endless Victory in the center of its hull. The tungsten passed through the shields as if they did not exist. It punched through 3 meters of armor plating like it was paper. It continued through 12 decks, destroying everything in its path. The rod exited through the other side of the ship, leaving a perfect hole. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the Endless Victory exploded. The other 5 rods found their targets in the same instant. 5 more Dominion battleships were hit. 5 more explosions lit up the darkness of space. In 30 seconds, 6 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy had been reduced to expanding clouds of gas and debris. The remaining Dominion ships panicked. "Evasive maneuvers!" Crixtal screamed into his communicator. "All ships scatter! Emergency jump protocols!" The massive Dominion vessels began to move. Their engines flared to life as they tried to escape, but they were designed for power, not speed. The huge ships turned slowly, like mountains trying to dance. "Sir," Lieutenant Varthek called out, "long-range sensors are detecting something. Small objects moving through the debris field." "What kind of objects?" "Unknown design. Very small. They appear to be following some of our ships." Lieutenant Commander Choi Min-seo sat in the pilot seat of one of these small objects. The reconnaissance drone was barely 2 meters long but packed with advanced sensors and communication equipment. Her job was to follow the Dominion ships and learn where they went. "Control, this is Scout 1, she reported to her ship, the Daegu Phantom. "I am following Dominion Battle Group 7. They are heading toward the inner systems." "Copy that, Scout 1, came the reply from Commander Oh Hyun-woo. "Stay hidden and gather all the intelligence you can." The tiny drone attached itself to the hull of a fleeing Dominion ship. Its adaptive camouflage made it invisible to sensors. Min-seo would ride the enemy vessel all the way back to their base. She would learn about Dominion defenses, ship designs, and communication codes. Most importantly, she would discover the location of their capital world. Admiral Crixtal's ship, the Eternal Glory, was one of the last to escape. As his vessel jumped to hyperspace, he stared at the tactical display. 6 battleships destroyed, hundreds of crew members dead, an entire battle group defeated by weapons he did not understand. "Set course for Veltharion," he ordered. "Maximum speed." "Yes, sir," replied his navigator. Estimated arrival time is 6 hours. Crixtal slumped in his command chair. In 3,000 years of Dominion history, no enemy had ever achieved such a victory. The humans had destroyed 6 major warships without losing a single vessel of their own. Worse, they had made it look easy. On Veltharion, Emperor Zalmorian received the first emergency transmission from Admiral Crixtal. The Emperor was ancient, even by Valonian standards. His crystalline body had grown dark with age. His mind was sharp but filled with the certainty that came from centuries of unchallenged power. Impossible, the Emperor said after hearing the report. Crixtal must be mistaken. No ships could survive a direct hit from our main batteries. The sensor logs confirm it, my lord, replied General Morgoth, the Dominion's military commander. 6 battleships destroyed by unknown weapons. The human ships appear to have technology we cannot understand. Emperor Zalmorian stood and walked to the great window of his palace. Outside, the capital city stretched to the horizon. Millions of beings from dozens of species worked to support the Dominion. They built ships, mined resources, and paid tribute. All of it depended on Dominion military superiority. Bring me Dr. Han Yu-jin, the Emperor commanded. Dr. Han Yu-jin had been a prisoner of the Dominion for 8 years. He was a human xenobiologist who had been captured during an earlier first contact attempt. The Dominion had kept him alive to study human biology and psychology. They had learned much from him, but they had never expected to face other humans in battle. The human was brought to the throne room in chains. He was thin and pale from years in captivity. His hair had grown long and his beard was unkempt. But his eyes were still sharp and intelligent. Dr. Han, the Emperor said, it seems your species has finally revealed itself. Tell me about these ships. Han looked up at the massive alien ruler. I told you years ago that humanity would not remain hidden forever. We are builders and explorers. We do not accept slavery or tyranny. Your weapons destroyed 6 of our battleships. How is this possible? Because we learned from studying yours, Han replied. Every Dominion ship you lost in battles over the centuries. Every piece of technology you thought was destroyed. We found it. We studied it. We improved on it. General Morgoth stepped forward. What do they want? To end your empire, Han said simply. To free the species you have enslaved. To create a galaxy where beings can live in peace. The Emperor laughed. It was a sound like breaking ice. 12 ships against 10,000? They are welcome to try. You are making the same mistake you always make, Han said. You think strength comes from size and numbers. Humans believe strength comes from ingenuity and determination. We built ships you cannot detect. We created weapons you cannot stop. And we did it all, while you believed we did not exist. Emperor Zalmorian turned away from the window. Take him back to his cell. Double the guard, and send word to all fleet commanders. I want every ship in the Dominion searching for these humans. Find their homeworld, destroy it before they can build more ships. As Dr. Han was led away, he looked back at the Emperor. It is too late for that, Your Majesty. The 12 ships you fought today are just the beginning. In deep space, the human fleet regrouped. Commander Lee Tae-min stood on his bridge and watched the last of the Dominion ships disappear into hyperspace. The first battle was over. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Damage report, Tae-min requested. No damage to any ship, Lieutenant Park Ji-won reported. All systems functioning normally. The adaptive shields absorbed 98% of the incoming energy. The remaining 2% was dispersed, harmlessly. Excellent. Signal all ships. Phase 1 is complete. It is time to begin Phase 2. Across the human fleet, crews prepared for the next stage of their mission. They had shown the Dominion that humanity could not be easily defeated. Now they would show the galaxy something even more dangerous. They would show the oppressed species that rebellion was possible. Emperor Zalmorian stood before the greatest war council in Dominion history. Every admiral, every general, every fleet commander had been summoned to the capital world. The massive chamber was filled with beings from across the empire. Valonians, Korthek warriors, Zilani strategists, and dozens of other species that served the Dominion. Operation Starfall begins immediately, the Emperor announced. His voice echoed through the hall. Every ship, every sensor array, every intelligence. Network will focus on one goal: find the human homeworld and destroy it. Admiral Krixtal stepped forward. His crystalline skin was still pale from his encounter with the human ships. My lord, we have analyzed the battle data. The human vessels use technology we cannot understand. Their shields absorbed our weapons completely. Their own weapons penetrated our defenses as if they did not exist. Then we will use numbers, General Morgoth declared. 12 ships cannot stand against the full might of the Dominion. We have 10,000 vessels across 50 systems. We will hunt them down like animals. Emperor Zalmorian nodded. The humans revealed themselves too early. They should have built 1,000 ships before challenging us. Now we will find their world while their fleet is small. Crush them before they can grow stronger. Far from the capital world, Admiral Park, Sung Min received the intelligence report from Scout 1. Lieutenant Commander Choi Min Seo had followed the Dominion ships all the way to Veltharion. Her tiny drone had mapped their defenses, recorded their communications, and discovered the location of their primary military bases. Excellent work, Park said to his intelligence officer, Major John So-hee. The Dominion is doing exactly what we expected. They are pulling ships from across their empire, John reported. Hunter-killer groups are forming in 12 different sectors. They plan to search every system until they find Earth. Perfect. Signal all ships. It is time to split up and begin the hunt. The 12 human ships had already prepared for this moment. Each vessel carried different equipment and had different missions. Some would lead Dominion forces on wild chases through dangerous space. Others would penetrate deep into enemy territory to gather intelligence. A few would begin the most important mission of all. Captain Jung So-min commanded the Gwangju Shadow, one of the most advanced stealth ships in the human fleet. Her mission was to lead Dominion hunter groups into the Crystal Maze, a region of space where natural phenomena disrupted most sensors and communication systems. Helm, set course for Grid Section 7, she ordered. Maximum stealth. Let them think they are following a much larger fleet. The Gwangju Shadow was equipped with special broadcasting equipment. It could project false sensor signatures that made it appear to be anything from a single fighter to a massive battleship. As the ship moved toward the Crystal Maze, it sent out signals suggesting that hundreds of human vessels were hiding in the dangerous region. Captain, reported her sensor officer, Lieutenant Nam Ji-hoon. 3 Dominion battle groups are moving to intercept, 60 ships total. Good. Once we reach the maze, activate the Ghost Protocol, make them think they are chasing the entire human fleet. The Crystal Maze was a region of space where 2 nebulae had collided millions of years ago. The result was a twisted landscape of gas clouds, energy storms, and gravitational anomalies. Most ships avoided the area because sensors became unreliable, and navigation was nearly impossible. For humans, it was perfect. The Gwangju Shadow slipped into the maze like a fish entering coral reef. Its advanced sensors could penetrate the interference that blinded other ships. Its quantum drive allowed it to navigate safely through gravitational fields that would tear apart normal vessels. Behind it, 3 Dominion battle groups followed. In pursuit, Admiral Vekthar commanded the lead battle group. He was a Korthek, a species known for their aggressive nature and military skills. His ships were some of the fastest in the Dominion fleet. When the human vessel had appeared on his sensors, he had immediately given chase. Target is moving into the Crystal Maze, his navigation officer reported. Recommend we break off pursuit. The interference will make it impossible to track them. Negative, Vekthar growled. The humans think they can hide from us. Follow them in. All ships maintain formation. As the Dominion ships entered the maze, their sensors immediately began to malfunction. The energy storms created false readings. The gas clouds blocked their communications. Worst of all, the gravitational anomalies began to pull their ships off course. Captain Jung So-min watched from deep inside the maze as the enemy fleet struggled. Her ship was invisible to their sensors, but she could see everything they did. At the right moment, she activated the Ghost Protocol. Suddenly, the Dominion sensors detected massive ships all around them. The computer showed hundreds of human vessels hiding in the gas clouds. Energy readings suggested weapons charging. Movement signatures indicated ships maneuvering for attack. "Emergency maneuvers!" Admiral Vekthar shouted. "All ships scatter! Weapons free! The 60 Dominion ships began firing at shadows. Their energy beams lit up the gas clouds but hit nothing. They chased false sensor readings deeper into the maze. 3 ships were lost to gravitational anomalies. 2 more collided with each other in the confusion. For 3 weeks, the Dominion battle groups wandered through the crystal maze chasing ghosts. They found nothing but empty space and their own fears. Meanwhile, Commander Oh Hyun-woo and the Ulsan Vengeance were conducting a much more dangerous mission. They had penetrated deep into Dominion space using captured navigation codes and stolen identification signals. Their goal was to reach the inner systems and gather intelligence on Dominion military strength. "Stealth systems at maximum," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Shin Yunbi. "We are reading as a Dominion courier ship on their sensors." "Good. What about our destination?" "We should reach the Veltharian system in 6 hours. Our intelligence suggests it is the most heavily defended system in the Dominion." Oh nodded. The Ulsan Vengeance was equipped with the most advanced reconnaissance equipment humanity had ever built. It could scan planets from light years away and record detailed information about military installations, ship movements, and population centers. When they reached the Veltharian system, what they found shocked them. "Captain," Shin whispered, "you need to see this." The main screen showed the capital world of the Dominion, but it was not the mighty fortress they had expected. Instead, they saw a world covered with cities full of slaves. Millions of beings from dozens of species worked in factories, mines, and shipyards. All of them labored to support the Dominion war machine. "How many?" Oh asked quietly. "Preliminary scans suggest over 50 million enslaved beings on this world alone," Shin reported. "Intelligence indicates similar populations on thousands of Dominion worlds." "Dear God," Oh whispered. "This is not just an empire. It is the largest slave operation in galactic history." The Ulsan Vengeance spent 3 days in the system, gathering data. They recorded the locations of military bases, the schedules of patrol ships, and the routes used by transport vessels. But most importantly, they discovered something that would change the entire war. "Captain," Shin called out excitedly, "I am reading massive energy signatures from the outer planets. Industrial-scale manufacturing. They are building something huge." The sensors showed construction sites on 12 different moons. Each site was building components for what appeared to be a massive weapon. When assembled, the device would be larger than most space stations. "What kind of weapon?" Oh demanded. "Unknown design," Shin replied. "But the energy readings suggest it could ignite a star." Oh stared at the display in horror. A star-killer weapon. The Dominion was building something that could destroy entire solar systems. If they completed it, no world would be safe from their power. "Send an emergency transmission to Admiral Park," Oh ordered. "Priority Alpha. The Dominion has a stellar weapon under construction." Back at the Hidden Human Command Center, Admiral Park Sung-min received the intelligence report with growing concern. Dr. Lee Min-kyung, humanity's foremost physicist, studied the data with intense concentration. "This is worse than we thought," Dr. Lee announced. "If they complete this weapon, they could destroy Earth from 1,000 light-years away. We need to accelerate our timeline." "How long until the weapon is complete?" Park asked. "Based on the construction progress, approximately 6 months," Dr. Lee replied. "But there is something else. The weapon requires rare elements that are only found in specific star systems. If we can disrupt their supply lines, we might be able to delay completion." Major Jeon So-hee stepped forward with her intelligence files. "Sir, our analysis of Dominion communications shows they are getting desperate. They have committed 70% of their fleet to hunting us. Their defense of key systems is actually weaker than it has been in centuries." Admiral Park smiled grimly. "Then it is time for Phase 3. Signal all ships. We are going to start a revolution." Across the galaxy, the 12 human ships received new orders. They would no longer hide from the Dominion fleet. Instead, they would seek out the oppressed species that served as slaves and workers throughout the Empire. They would provide weapons, training, and most importantly, hope. Captain Lim Jun-suk commanded the Suwon Liberator. The Zephyrian mining colony of Kepler 7 had been under Dominion control for 800 years. The blue-skinned Zephyrians worked in the deep mines, extracting rare crystals that powered Dominion starships. They lived in small metal buildings and ate processed food. They had forgotten what freedom looked like. Foreman Zek Null stood watch on the eastern perimeter when something impossible happened. A ship appeared out of nowhere. It was not a Dominion vessel. The design was completely unknown, sleek and dark. It moved through space like a living thing. "Alert the garrison!" Zek Null called to his assistant. "Unknown ship approaching." Captain Lim Junsuk watched the mining colony through his ship's sensors. The Suwon Liberator hung in space just beyond the range of the colony's defensive systems. Below them, 2 million Zephyrians worked in conditions that would be illegal anywhere in human space. "Garrison strength?" Lim asked his tactical officer. 200 Dominion soldiers, Lieutenant Kim Hye-jin reported. "Standard weapons and armor. 3 patrol ships, 1 communications array. Signal Dr. Park, so young. We need to make contact with the Zephyrians." Dr. Park had studied dozens of alien languages during her years of preparation. The Zephyrian language was musical, with tones that conveyed meaning as much as words. She opened a communication channel to the colony's main frequency. "People of Kepler-7, she said in perfect Zephyrian. "We are humans from the Federation. We have come to offer you freedom." On the colony surface, the transmission was heard by thousands of workers. They stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky. Many had never heard the word freedom spoken in their own language. The Dominion garrison commander, Captain Mordek, immediately ordered his ships to attack the human vessel. 3 patrol craft launched from the colony and headed toward the Suwon Liberator. "Incoming hostiles," Lieutenant Kim reported. 3 light cruisers. Standard Dominion configuration. "Disable them," Lim ordered. "Do not destroy. We want prisoners. For intelligence." The human ship's point defense systems activated. Precise energy beams struck the Dominion patrol craft, disabling their engines and weapons without causing fatal damage. Within minutes, all 3 ships were floating helplessly in space. Below on the colony, the Zephyrian workers watched in amazement. The mysterious human ship had defeated the Dominion forces without effort. For the first time in 8 centuries, the oppressors looked vulnerable. "Dr. Park, open a channel to the colony workers," Lim commanded. "Zephyrians of Kepler-7, Dr. Park broadcast. "The Dominion has kept you in chains for 800 years. They have stolen your labor and your freedom. Today, that ends. We offer you weapons and training to take back your world." Elder Veltara was the oldest Zephyrian on the colony. She remembered stories her grandmother had told about life before the Dominion. Stories of blue skies and crystal cities. Stories of a time when her people controlled their own destiny. "How do we know you speak the truth?" she called back through the communication system. "Because we destroyed 6 Dominion battleships 3 weeks ago," Dr. Park replied. "Because we have the technology to free you and the will to see it done." Captain Lim ordered the cargo bay doors to open. Hundreds of weapons containers fell from the ship toward the colony's surface. Each container was equipped with anti-grav units that allowed it to land safely. Inside were energy rifles, body armor, and communication equipment designed specifically for Zephyrian physiology. Lieutenant Colonel Kim Hye-jin took a shuttle down to the colony surface. She was a Special Forces officer trained in guerrilla warfare and alien combat techniques. Her mission was to train the Zephyrians to fight. "These weapons are simple to use," she explained to a group of former miners. "Point and fire. The energy cells will last for 200 shots each. The armor will protect you from Dominion's small arms." A young Zephyrian named Talvek picked up one of the rifles. It felt strange in his hands. For 800 years, his people had been forbidden to carry weapons of any kind. Now a human was teaching him to fight back. "What about the garrison?" he asked. "Leave them to us," Kim replied. "Your job is to secure the mining equipment and the communication arrays. Do not let them send word to the Dominion fleet." The revolution began at sunset. 2 million Zephyrian workers rose up against their oppressors. They moved through the colony with military precision, guided by human advisors and equipped with advanced weapons. The Dominion garrison had never faced an uprising of this scale. Captain Mordek tried to call for help, but the communication arrays had been captured. He tried to escape in his personal shuttle, but human fighters disabled it before it could leave the atmosphere. Within 6 hours, the entire colony was under Zephyrian control. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. The 12 human ships had split up to visit different slave worlds. Each ship carried weapons and advisors. Each ship brought the same message. The time for freedom had come. Captain Bang Ye Rim commanded the Daejeon Thunder. Her target was a Krallic manufacturing world where insectoid beings built components for Dominion starships. The Krallic had been enslaved for over 1,000 years. Their natural hive mind made them perfect for complex assembly work. The Krallic are different from the Zephyrians, explained Dr. Nam Jun-ho, the ship's xenobiologist. They think as a collective. If we can convince their queen, the entire population will join us immediately. The Krallic queen was kept in a special facility at the center of the manufacturing complex. She was connected to every worker through biological implants. The Dominion used her to control the entire population. Lieutenant Commander Shin Yun-bi led a special forces team to the Queen's facility. They fought through Dominion security forces and reached the central chamber where the Queen was held. She was a massive being, 3 meters tall with wings that sparkled like jewels. "Great Queen," Shin said through a translator device, "we are humans. We have come to free your people." The Queen studied the human soldiers with compound eyes that saw in multiple spectrums. "Freedom," she said slowly. "A concept we had forgotten. Your people deserve to control their own destiny," Shin replied. "We can provide weapons and training, but the choice must be yours." The Queen was silent for several minutes. During that time, she communicated with every Krallic on the planet through their biological network. When she spoke again, her decision was final. "We choose freedom." The uprising on the Krallic world was swift and total. 200 million insectoid beings moved with perfect coordination. They captured weapons depots, communication centers, and starship construction facilities. The Dominion garrison was overwhelmed within hours. On the capital world of Veltharion, Emperor Zalmorian received reports of rebellions throughout his empire. 17 systems had fallen to slave uprisings in the past week. The rebels were armed with advanced weapons and trained by human advisors. "This is impossible," General Morgoth declared. "How can 12 ships coordinate attacks across such a vast area?" Dr. Han Yu-jin smiled from his prison cell. The human had been brought before the Emperor again to explain his species' tactics. "You still do not understand," he said. "Humans do not think like you. We do not need massive fleets to win wars. We use intelligence, technology, and the desire of oppressed beings to be free. The rebellions will be crushed," the Emperor declared. "I am recalling the hunting fleets. Every available ship will move to suppress these uprisings." "That is exactly what they want you to do," Han replied. "While your ships chase rebels, the real human fleet is preparing something much worse for you." Fleet Admiral Song Dong-wook received the intelligence reports with satisfaction. The human spy network had been monitoring Dominion communications for weeks. Major John So-hee had predicted exactly how the Emperor would respond to the rebellions. "They are pulling ships from the hunting fleets," John reported. 70% of their forces are now committed to fighting rebellions. Their core systems are more vulnerable than they have been in centuries. "Perfect," Song replied. "Signal all ships. Phase 4 begins now." Dr. Lee Min-kyung studied the latest intelligence about the Dominion stellar weapon. The massive device was nearly complete. When finished, it would be capable of igniting any star in the galaxy. Earth's sun would be the first target. "We have perhaps 2 months before they can use it," Dr. Lee announced. "But I have discovered something interesting. The weapon requires exotic matter to function. Matter that can only be produced in zero-gravity facilities." "Can we destroy the production facilities?" Song asked. "Better than that," Dr. Lee replied with a smile. "We can capture them. The same exotic matter they need for their weapon is perfect for our own defenses." Admiral Park Sung-min looked at the strategic display. Red dots showed the locations of ongoing rebellions. Blue dots marked the positions of human ships. Green dots indicated potential targets for the next phase of operations. "Signal Captain Kim Do-hyun," Park ordered. "It is time to reveal our true strength to the Dominion." In deep space near the border of Dominion territory, Captain Kim received the message. The Soul's thunder had been waiting in hiding for 3 weeks. Its cargo bay was filled with something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. "Open the cargo bay," Kim ordered. "Release the construction drones." Thousands of small machines poured out of the human ship. The largest fleet in galactic history dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. 3,000 Dominion warships spread across space like a dark cloud. At the center of the formation was the massive dreadnought Eternal Dominance, carrying Emperor Zalmorian himself. Behind it, protected by layers of escort ships, came the stellar weapon that could ignite stars. Emperor Zalmorian stood on the bridge of his flagship and stared at the yellow star that humans called Sol. Somewhere in this system was the world that had produced the species threatening his empire. Today, that world would burn. "Sensor report," the Emperor commanded. "Detecting multiple space installations throughout the system," reported his science officer. "Artificial structures in orbit around all major planets. Unknown configuration. Defenses? Unknown. We are detecting massive energy signatures but cannot identify the source." Admiral Krixtal studied the tactical display with growing unease. "My lord, this does not look like a primitive system. The number of artificial structures suggests a highly advanced civilization." "It does not matter," the Emperor replied. "We have 3,000 ships. They have 12. Fire the stellar weapon and end this." But as the Dominion fleet moved deeper into the system, they began to realize they had made a terrible mistake. The Sol system was not defended by 12 ships. It was defended by the entire system itself. Admiral Choi Tae-young commanded the Sol defense grid from his headquarters on Ceres. The asteroid had been hollowed out and converted into a massive command center. Around him, thousands of human officers. Monitored displays showing every ship in the system. "Dominion fleet has entered the outer perimeter," reported Captain Lee Sora from the sensor station. 3,000 confirmed contacts. The stellar weapon is in the center of their formation. "Activate Kuiper Belt installations," Choi ordered. Throughout the outer reaches of the Sol system, structures that had appeared to be simple mining stations revealed their true purpose. Massive railguns emerged from camouflaged asteroids. Each weapon was over a kilometer long and capable of accelerating projectiles to significant fractions of light speed. The first salvo caught the Dominion fleet completely by surprise. Hundreds of tungsten rods streaked across the system at relativistic speeds. They struck the leading edge of the Dominion formation with devastating effect. 50 ships were destroyed in the opening moments of the battle. "Impossible!" Emperor Zalmorian screamed. "How can they have weapons in the outer system?" "The entire system appears to be fortified," Admiral Krixtal reported. "We are detecting weapons platforms throughout the asteroid belt. Energy signatures suggest massive defensive installations on multiple planets." General Morgoth studied the tactical display in horror. "My lord, they have turned their entire star system into a fortress. Every asteroid, every moon, every planet appears to be armed." The Emperor stared at the display as more Dominion ships were destroyed by long-range weapons. This was not the primitive world he had expected to find. The humans had spent decades preparing for this battle. They had converted their entire solar system into the most sophisticated defensive network ever created. "All ships advance," the Emperor commanded. "Overwhelm their defenses with numbers." The Dominion fleet pressed forward. But as they moved deeper into the system, the human defenses became more intense. The asteroid belt came alive with weapons platforms. Swarms of automated fighters emerged from hidden bases. Each fighter was controlled by advanced artificial intelligence based on human tactical thinking. Captain Bang Ye-rim commanded the human dreadnought Earth's Will. Her ship was one of 50 massive vessels that had been hidden behind Jupiter's moons. These were not the small, fast ships the Dominion had encountered before. These were capital ships designed for one purpose: the defense of humanity's home world. "All ships, this is Admiral Choi," came the voice over the communication system. "The Dominion has brought their full strength to our home. Today we show them the true power of humanity. For Earth. For Earth." Bang replied along with 50 other ship captains. The human fleet emerged from behind Jupiter like avenging angels. Each ship was larger than anything the Dominion had seen humans field before. Their hulls were black as space itself, covered with adaptive armor that shifted and changed to deflect incoming fire. The battle for Seoul had truly begun. Commander Lee Tae-min piloted his original ship, the Incheon's Fury, through the chaos of combat. The small destroyer darted between massive Dominion battleships, striking at vulnerable points with surgical precision. His crew had been fighting for hours, but their ship showed no signs of damage. "Target their command ship," Tae-min ordered. "The Emperor himself is aboard the Eternal Dominance." Lieutenant Park Ji-won locked onto the massive dreadnought. "Firing solution confirmed. Mass drivers ready." Fire. Tungsten rods streaked across space toward the Dominion flagship. But as they approached, energy shields flared to life around. The Eternal Dominance. The rods struck the shields and were deflected harmlessly into space. "Their flagship has adaptive defenses," Park reported. "Our weapons are not penetrating. Then we use different weapons," Tae-min replied. "Signal the Seoul's Thunder. Request quantum torpedo support." Captain Kim Do-hyun received the request from his position near the center of the battle. His ship had been modified with humanity's most advanced weapons. Quantum torpedoes that could phase through normal matter and explode inside enemy hulls. "Targeting the Dominion flagship," Kim announced to his crew. "Quantum torpedoes armed and ready." The torpedoes were invisible to Dominion sensors. They passed through the energy shields as if they did not exist. They penetrated the hull of the Eternal Dominance and exploded deep inside the ship. Massive sections of the dreadnought went dark as power systems failed. But Emperor Zalmorian was not finished. "Activate the stellar weapon," he commanded. "Target their star. Destroy this entire system." The massive weapon at the center of the Dominion formation began to charge. Energy readings spiked as exotic matter was compressed to incredible densities. When fired, the beam would ignite Seoul and destroy every planet in the system. Dr. Lee Min-kyung had been monitoring the stellar weapon from her position in the command center. "Admiral, they are preparing to fire the Star Killer. Estimated time to weapon discharge, 60 seconds. Admiral Choi studied the tactical display. The human fleet was winning the conventional battle. But if the stellar weapon fired, none of it would matter. Earth, Mars, Venus, and billions of human beings would be destroyed in the expanding fire of their own sun. "Activate the dimensional fold generators," Choi ordered. Throughout the Sol system, hidden installations that had been built over decades came online. They were humanity's greatest achievement, devices that could manipulate space-time itself. The technology had been developed from studying captured Dominion equipment and improving on it beyond recognition. "Generators online," reported Dr. Lee, "targeting the stellar weapon." The space around the Dominion weapon began to twist and bend. Reality itself seemed to fold in on itself as the dimensional generators created a massive gravitational anomaly. The stellar weapon fired its beam of destruction toward Seoul, but the beam was caught in the folded space and redirected. The beam that was meant to destroy Earth's sun struck the Dominion fleet instead. 200 ships, including the massive carrier Infinite Victory, vanished in an instant. The stellar weapon's own energy had been turned against its creators. The remaining Dominion vessels found themselves scattered and disorganized as space-time snapped back to normal. Emperor Zalmorian stared in shock at the tactical display. Half his fleet was gone. The stellar weapon was destroyed. His most powerful ships were burning wrecks floating in space. "How?" he whispered. "My lord," Admiral Krikstal said quietly, "we must retreat. The fleet cannot sustain these losses." "No!" the Emperor screamed. "I will not be defeated by these primitives. All remaining ships, ramming speed, destroy their world directly." But as the surviving Dominion ships tried to reach Earth, they encountered the final line of human defense. The planet itself was surrounded by a network of orbital platforms that created an impenetrable energy barrier. Ships that tried to approach were torn apart by gravitational fields and particle beams. Captain Young So-min piloted her ship through the debris field that had once been the mighty Dominion fleet. The Gwangju Shadow moved like a ghost through the wreckage, searching for survivors. Her mission was not to kill, but to capture. The humans wanted prisoners for the peace negotiations that would follow. "Admiral Choi," she reported. "The Emperor's flagship is still functional but severely damaged. They are requesting terms for surrender." Admiral Choi looked at the main display. The battle was over. 3,000 Dominion ships had been reduced to fewer than 200. The stellar weapon was destroyed. The Emperor himself was at the mercy of human forces. "Open a channel to the Eternal Dominance," Choi ordered. Emperor Zalmorian appeared on the screen. The ancient Valonian looked broken and defeated. His crystalline skin was cracked and dark. Behind him, his bridge was filled with smoke and sparks from damaged systems. "What are your terms?" the Emperor asked. "Complete dissolution of the Dominion," Admiral Choi replied. "Freedom for all enslaved species. Reparations for damages caused by 3,000 years of oppression."